the Chosen One, hero, conqueror of all adversity, and the one who prevails. Welcome to the Goddess Keys, where we merge fact and fiction to author the world of our desires. On this channel, we surpass fact and fiction to do this. And we move in the undefined space, building our own architecture through the audacity to craft the world of our dreams. Now, the Chosen One archetype is what a lot of folks end up awakening into as they go into this journey from being a non-playing character into somebody who is moving within avatar consciousness. And avatar consciousness is just basically this concept of knowing that maybe there is some simulated parts of, quote, reality, and you operate outside of whatever script you were assigned. And so a lot of folks awaken into this Chosen One archetype. You start realizing that things might be happening to you in your world, and they feel a little bit orchestrated. And you might start learning more about the structures of the way the world works. And you might feel called to do something about it, to self-actualize in some way, or to shift some structural element of society that doesn't feel quite right to you. You step into the Chosen One archetype, the hero archetype, the conqueror of adversity. The Chosen One is more of that hero energy. And we feel comfortable and safe in that particular energy because the storylines that we've seen time and time again is good, quote unquote, prevailing over evil, quote unquote. And that's where the Chosen One archetype comes in. Now, this is really good with giving you that creative push that you need to conquer something. The thing about the Chosen One archetype, though, if it's left unchecked, or if it's not balanced out with some other energies, it can lead to a little bit more of like the self-righteousness, the me against them kind of energy. And also it might keep you on scripts of constantly feeling like you need to save everyone. One particular character that we're going to look at today as it relates to this Chosen One archetype, we're going to look at a character from the ABC series Once Upon a Time, the character Emma. So in this particular show, Emma, she's living her regular life. She's a bail bonds person. She doesn't really have any emotional attachments. She grew up in the foster system. Usually the Chosen One or the savior archetype grows up in some kind of trauma. Even if you think about the story of Jesus Christ, right? There was kind of like a traumatic way that he came into this world. There was an issue with where his mother was going to give birth. Jesus came in without having a biological father. So there's that energy of feeling like you stick out. Chosen Ones, even though they feel a big duty to humanity, a lot of times their origin story leaves them with that black sheep kind of coding, right? And so in the story of Emma on Once Upon a Time, she is going through life, never quite processing her trauma, and then gets a huge wake-up call that she's somebody who has magical abilities, who's from a whole other realm, a whole other dimension, and she finds out that she's the savior. Usually the Chosen One also is living another kind of identity, and then a lot of times there's like a wake-up call of some kind, and it moves them or propels them into this journey or this quest. Also, another one that we can think of is Neo from the Matrix, right? He's also the Chosen One or the savior. So he starts off as a computer programmer / hacker, and then same thing, he has this transcendent experience that shows him that life isn't what he thought it was, and that he is key somehow in the orchestration of life. We're speaking a lot in the sense of mythology and different archetypical storylines from popular culture, because we know that story holds a great deal of power. Media holds a great deal of power. And even though these stories may or may not be real, it doesn't necessarily mean we don't see ourselves in them. In terms of the chosen one archetype, there's usually a huge wake-up call. They're doing one thing and then something wakes them up, and then they propel themselves into this quest. They have a huge avatar shift. Usually there's a force that they're up against. It can be a little exhausting being the chosen one, because it's like you're always battling that adversary. Heroes or the chosen one never quite get any rest. They have to, quote, sacrifice a lot of natural comforts that, the typical human might have, because the chosen one's special and different. When we get out of the NPC role of just kind of being in the simulation, following our script in the simulation, when we wake up, we can end up in this chosen one or savior kind of role. And it can feel a little isolating. It can feel kind of exciting and thrilling as well. It's empowering sometimes to see yourself as the hero. There's some kind of a prediction usually that's made about a chosen one. So people who align with the chosen one archetype, sometimes they may have had some kind of a prophetic vision that catapults them out of their NPC into more of like an avatar type consciousness. So that happened in the case of Emma from Once Upon a Time, as well as Neo from The Matrix. And then, hey, let's just throw in another chosen one type energy. Let's talk about, Harry Potter, right? He's another chosen one. The thing about these characters, if you take a look at how they show up in movies, and this chosen one archetype shows up time and time again. It goes into that savior, that Christ sort of energy. The chosen one usually has a lot of adversaries and a lot of people that they can't trust. And sometimes it can feel a little isolating to be the chosen one. It's like, on the one hand, it might feel good that you have this larger purpose that you may not have known about, and it might make things exciting or give you more meaning. But on the other hand, it can be so isolating and exhausting. Like if you look at any chosen one in the movie, they're always fighting forces of good and evil. They never really have the time to rest or relax or just chill. Like that's not a part of the chosen one's journey. At some point, we wear that energy of chosen one, but at some point we also want to put down that armor of chosen one, because it does end up being an armor, because you're constantly on the defense, right? And you're constantly fighting. If you're constantly fighting forces of bad, or if you're constantly fighting an adversary, then it keeps you in a looping script. The chosen one is a big script that a lot of people fall into, where they wake up, but then they end up in another script. It can be exhausting. So it's a good role to try on, being the hero, being the chosen one, but you can't be the hero all the time. It's good to come into that energy, try it on. But if you are in that chosen one archetype, try also the adversary as well. When you're able to tap into the energy of the adversary as well, you're also able to see things from a more holistic perspective, which is also a really great development tool on your path. Folks who end up in like new age spirituality, or this consciousness of I'm moving to 5D, loop around in the chosen one energy. I've definitely been there. A world building approach would be, what if I'm building a world, I'm building an architecture for my life where there's not a constant fight? What if the architecture I'm building for my life creates more places of flow? Or what if the architecture that I'm building for my life nullifies all adversaries? You transcend the chosen one archetype at this point. That being said, it's kind of like a baby stage of your path. It's kind of that Aries energy. If you think about Aries on the astrological wheel, it's that first sign. It's kind of that newborn energy. You're waking up to things. It's a very young energy. There's some really great redeeming qualities about it, but it's not something you want to stay in, because if you stay in the energy of the chosen one, it becomes another constriction. If you're constantly fighting the dark, where is the joy? Where is the time for you to create? As we move into this world building path, we are creating our world. But if you're constantly in fighting an adversary, when do you have time to create? There's a trick sometimes within the simulation to get us to aspire to be the chosen one, to aspire to be the hero. But the hero doesn't usually have time to create. The hero's always fighting. The hero's always taking on and shouldering on all of the issues of all these other people. So it can end up in like a codependent kind of loop. And that's just a different perspective on this chosen one energy. If you're interested in learning more about integrating these archetypes, I'm really excited to share some gamified vision quests that I'm creating. I have an offering that I'm doing where I work really closely with folks one-on-one. I'm there to not coach you, but to support you as you are navigating the simulation out of NPC settings and more into building the world of your dreams. You might see that there's a lot of structural obstacles, but instead of coming at it from fighting forces of the dark or spiritual protection, we actually go on quests together, gamified quests. So we're taking this analogy that life is a game. There is a game of life that's happening. And we're not just here to play the game well. We're actually here to see the architecture of the game and then create our own rules by creating a new game board. To learn more about this, you can also read my book, The Architect is Her, now available on Amazon and Kindle. But if you're interested in working closely with somebody who has been navigating the architecture of the simulation and doing so more from this energy of world building, then you might be interested in working with me with my offering called Uncoached. Also, just want to thank everybody who has been supporting me both on YouTube. Thank you. Thank you for the new folks that have been joining and subscribing. Thank you for the ones that have been here. I appreciate you. And I also want to thank the folks who have been supporting me off of YouTube, whether that has been on Patreon or purchasing specialized sounds on Bandcamp, or purchasing my toolkits as well, or working with me one-on-one. There's been so much that has been done in the simulation to make us feel like we're not creators or we don't have permission to create the world of our dreams. And I support folks with that deprogramming process, because it is a deprogramming process, but it doesn't have to be so serious. It can also be fun as well. We reclaim our power a lot when we reclaim the joy, with building our own world. And a lot of times that's going to mean transcending the chosen one archetype. You may have started there. That may have been an avatar that you've worn, but that's not the only one that you can wear. It's for folks who maybe have been in the chosen one loop, but are also ready to explore other potentiality. The more multifaceted you are, the more you're able to bring that into the creation of the life that you're dreaming of. It can be fun. It doesn't have to be so serious. It doesn't have to be such a fight against the forces. It can be a game of flow. And that's what I am really excited to share with folks. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, then I'll leave my email address below and we can chat further. Until we meet again, sending you lots of love and joy and peace.